Oh, ladies and gentlemen, it feels so good to do DPS charts again. And if you stick around with this video, you will see one because we're talking about OPD Militia. When version 42 first came out, my spidey senses were tingling, and it remained undiscovered for quite some time until just recently. Not only was it buffed, but people kind of caught on to it. Let's delve into the math behind this crazy card. Marillus Action is a game and screen recorder that offers the lowest megabytes per frame, the lowest computer resource usage, and the highest FPS recording. Check the link in the video description to learn more. Hello ladies and gentlemen, welcome to a Paragon Guide. I am Sylphin, and this is where we take a look at the math behind these cards, try to glean some special information from it. So the TLDR for OPD Militia, it's a 4 agility, 8 agility, 4 intellect knowledge card, giving you a lot of power and a lot of attack speed actually, and some mana to give you a basic that you do extra ability damage per basic attack at the cost of mana. It's a lot of damage when you convert all that mana that it gives you into damage. On a carry, it's insane DPS increases, and it basically means that it's very efficient in its ability damage production. It really is quite it's quite efficient even when you compare it to other hero abilities. Heroes with less mana pools and with less mana usage and higher mana pools will be able to utilize OPD more often. One gets mana from OPD, again will give you about 1200 ability damage, and carries see substantial DPS increase. Essentially, it's a great card for converting mana into damage if you can land your basic attacks and if you have the mana to spend. Even if you just want to use that 190, likely 200 including regen, that you get from OPD Militia, that's 1200 extra damage in an engagement. Even if you want to save the rest of your mana pool for other things, that is a lot of damage. With Mana Generator Gem, carries could see dramatic DPS increases, and they'll also be able to sustain that mana usage pretty steadily with that Mana Generator Gem. So if you want to substantially increase your damage on hit, OPD Militia is not only very effective, but it's also very efficient. So guys, that is the TLDR. Essentially, it's damn good. It really is damn good. So if you guys have never seen OPD Militia before, it is an 8 agility, 4 intellect knowledge card in the knowledge affinity, and it's quite interesting. It's an agility cost card in the knowledge tree, so it provides you some incentive for carries or attack damage heroes to go into the knowledge tree. There's a few other things in there that are interesting as well. 15 power, not bad, but 21 attack speed is higher up on the spectrum of attack speed on cards. Actually, that is a fair amount. 190 mana, that is okay as well. The Enchanted Strikes is this toggle active portion of the card. Basic attacks cost 20 mana and deal an additional 120 ability damage. That is substantial. 20 mana for 120 ability damage. When you kind of look at the math for that, you can see that 20 mana, 120 ability damage, 100 mana, 600 ability damage, 200 mana, 1200 ability damage. And I've highlighted this simply because that is roughly the amount of mana that OPD Militia gives you. So you can kind of think as this 1200 ability damage, it's kind of free. Like, you're just kind of using what the card is giving you. This right here, 6, is how much damage you get per mana. And we're going to look at hero abilities, kind of compare how much damage hero abilities can do and their mana cost. You got to see how efficient OPD Militia is. Of course, if you want to use a ton of mana for it, you can get a tremendous amount of damage. Now, on this screen, we're taking a look at abilities, the damage that they deal, their mana cost, and then looking at how efficient they are at converting that mana into damage. Huge disclaimer, and it should be insanely obvious. These abilities do other things as well, and that has value, and that is why some of these aren't obviously as efficient as converting mana into damage, because you're paying mana for other things. So please, obviously, these abilities do a lot of other things. Just keep that in mind. We're just, in this scenario, looking at how much damage can you get for the mana cost. So we have Hoarfrost all the way from Aurora to Zinx, and various levels of ability damage for these heroes at max level, their mana cost at that level, and then their attack their ability damage per mana cost. And as you can see, there are actually more abilities now that they've reduced the cost of a lot of abilities that are actually more efficient than OPD Militia. Left Crunch, obviously Crunch is damn good in that department. Rad Rounds, pretty much all of Crunch's abilities are very efficient. That's kind of what he's about. Rad Rounds here for Drongo, Double Pain, we have Unleash, Rumble, we have Shock Therapy. Sylphin is insanely efficient once you get that stacks, and obviously level 15 and all that stuff. But there is a large amount of abilities here that aren't as efficient as OPD Militia. Again, obviously they do a lot of other things. We're just looking at that damage portion. So OPD Militia, from this information, is actually quite efficient at converting mana into damage. If we want to look at other cards that are meant to deal damage, but obviously do other things as well, at their mana cost, it starts to look not as good as comparing it to hero abilities. As in this scenario, 3 out of the 7 are more efficient. So Nameless Curse is amazing to deal damage. Holy crow. Riot Sapper is really, really good, and that's only on 1 target. Yes, it's a 1 target on a caster, because obviously you would focus on using it nearby of a caster. But if there's other enemy heroes, obviously this skyrockets in value. And Glycerin Dawn is efficient as well. So in terms of other damage cards, which there are other things here, Black Ice Routine obviously is different. If you use Grinning Spectre on a low health tank, obviously it's going to deal more damage than this. So there are some other, in the Thundercleave, where you affect multiple people, etc., etc. It is looking pretty good for OPD Militia. Now, one good interaction between OPD Militia and a hero is Chimera, and I'm sure you know about this already. Chimera and OPD Militia work really well because Chimera and his Unleash is insane. So, let's add this up. Ambush onto a target with 40 power, level 15. 226 damage, your call, your ultimate, followed up by your unleash of 654 damage. And then OPD Militia, because that is applied on those 5 basic attacks that happen very quick, 625 damage, plus an Empowered Rounds gem, if you really want to go in this, is a total burst of 2168 damage. That is an insane amount of damage if you want to be a Chimera. That goes for OPD Militia, and you have some other cards as well, obviously. It's insane. So obviously, OPD Militia on Chimera, there is that interaction. I just wanted to show you that it does a tremendous amount of damage. And all of this would happen in what? 3 seconds? 3.5, something like that? Insane. Now, this is where I'm happy. I'm happy that I got to do a DPS chart that you will see. What about carries? Carries can use OPD Militia. We can use any card in the game. They do really fast. They use really fast attacks with a lot of attack speed. How does OPD Militia look on carries? And it looks really good. So we're looking at Murdoch and Grim. Obviously, you can use them on anybody, but Grim really likes it because he can use his shield for great mana return to feed OPD Militia, and Murdoch is he's just very meta right now. I could have done Sparrow, but her passive is next to impossible to math out unless you do a scenario, which I don't really want to do. Hero level 15, the basic attack damage, including that hero level, cooldown of that ability just for the math, power with heavy hitter, pressure hunter, basic attack damage of agility, of all the other things you get in the agility tree, etc., plus obviously heavy hitter and pressure hunter and OPD Militia, and then attack speed from hero levels and all these cards and the agility tree. Add all this up, and base DPS is 564 for Murdoch, 568 for Grim. Grim is a hyper carry, believe it or not. Obviously Sparrow is just ridiculous, but Grim obviously has a much more utility than everybody else, and then Murdoch is just Murdoch, and he does well. Look at this DPS with the OPD Militia. What? 886 instead of 564, and 917 instead of 568. What? A DPS increase of 36 and 38 freaking percent. Are you kidding me? It is insane. Absolutely insane what this DPS can do. This isn't with armor, and yes, armor does affect the different kinds of damage differently, but still, this is insane. 36, 38% DPS increase with OPD Militia is insane. That is a lot of DPS, and with this on a very squishy target, what? You're killing them in 3 seconds? Not even? Just crazy, guys. This does include heavy hitter. It doesn't include a pressure hunter passive on there, just to keep the math simple, but oh, wow. Now, this is the part that makes me so happy. I was actually able to do a DPS chart with a lot more assumptions in here than previous version 42 card system, but bear with me. So this is attack speed versus power. This is various levels of attack speed versus various levels of power with OPD Militia on hero level 15. Plus 25 points into agility, no heavy hitter, no shatter golem, no nothing, just OPD Militia on Grim with 0 power, blah blah blah. So 493 DPS. What is the most DPS if we want to include OPD Militia? And it kinda should be obvious. OPD Militia deals more damage if you can attack faster, which means attack speed runs away with it. Look at this attack speed, absolutely runs away with it, and then it kind of starts getting into the realm. So as this starts to widen, I'm sure that this becomes very much kind of 1-to-1 with power attack speed, and yeah, so it really likes attack speed. If you have the option of going OPD Militia and like Death Crawler, don't do that, obviously. But if you have the choice between OPD Militia and Shatter Golem and Overclock Droid, that's a perfect 25 agility. That is fantastic. That would be wonderful, 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 wonderful for OPD Militia. So try to get high attack speed cards with OPD Militia. There's a few in Death. The Wound Seeker actually has a lot of attack speed. OPD Militia, I think, is actually the highest attack speed card in the game, if I'm not mistaken. So anyways, attack speed is phenomenal with OPD Militia. And that brings us to our statements. What are some factual statements we can make about OPD Militia? Basically, it converts 1 mana to 6 ability damage in 20 mana chunks, or 120 ability damage chunks. OPD Militia is more efficient in converting mana into damage when compared to most hero abilities. Obviously, that doesn't include, you know, the opportunity cost of that. So like, say an Aurora does a Hoarfrost, well, that's going to root somebody in place for you to do some basic attacks, which would have happened, which would not have happened if you didn't use it. So there's a lot more to consider, but just know that in the damage department, OPD Militia is generally more efficient than most hero abilities. OPD Militia is relatively good card in converting mana to damage when you compare it to other cards, and heroes with less mana usage and higher mana pools will be able to utilize OPD Militia more often. In that statement is kind of meant somebody for like Zinx, who can get a higher mana pool, and if she's not tanking, or if she just has her ultimate off, she can definitely use OPD Militia a lot, as she'll more naturally want to have a higher mana pool, and in certain scenarios, may be using less mana. The mana one gets on OPD Militia, if you just want to consider that 190 mana, will give you an additional about 1200 ability damage when fully utilized. That is a lot. If you really just kind of want to think of it that way and be like, I still want to use all my abilities and I don't want to use all of OPD Militia, there's still a lot of ability damage that OPD Militia gives you basically for free. Carries can see substantial DPS increase through using OPD Militia and their mana pools. It's insane. It's really interesting in that some carries, you know, they can not really use their mana pools all that much. This, though, enables you to extract value from a resource that a lot of times doesn't necessarily directly equate into damage. OPD Militia can tap that potential for sure. So some conclusions. OPD Militia is a great card for converting mana into damage if one can land basic attacks and has a mana to spend. If you don't, and you can't land your basic attacks, it's just a big mana drain. Even if one needs mana for abilities, again, spending the 190-ish mana on 1200-ish extra damage is huge in an engagement. With Mana Generator Gem, carries could increase DPS dramatically while sustaining the mana usage fairly steadily. Mana Generator, 7 mana per basic attack, reducing that to 13 mana for 120 damage. And obviously, that's crazy. I think they have a base mana regen at hero level 15 of like 2-ish, something like that. So that reduces that to 11 per second, or well, not per second, but hey, with Mana Generator, the sustain is very, very good. If one wants to increase damage on hits substantially, if you're just a fighter or a carry, OPD Militia is very effective and efficient card to use. There you guys go. I'm so happy to bring this video to you, as this DPS chart, man, love it, love it, love it, love it. That's what this channel started on, and I'm really glad to bring it to you again. Let me know down in the comments how to use OPD Militia. I just had the thought maybe OPD Militia on Kallari for even more burst. A few basic attacks out of stealth with Deathcrawler, although that's really anti-synergistic interplay. I don't know. What do you guys think? Let me know down in the comments who you use OPD Militia on. Amazon is the tried and true way of shopping for anything you need or want at the lowest prices. Support the channel at no cost to you by doing your Amazon shopping through the link in the video description. Please like this video, like it, dislike it, share with the community. Of course, guys, subscribe, because like this content, especially if you found it useful. I got a lot more guides coming in November, so please hit that subscribe button so I can help you out in the future. Please check the video description for links to my website, merchandise store, Amazon affiliate links, as well as all my social media. And a huge thanks to my Patreon supporters, Twitch subscribers, and YouTube sponsors who make all of these videos possible. Till next time, like always, guys, stay optimistic and positive.